Because former Prime Minister John Major has said Britain needs to accept it's no longer a first-rate global power. In a speech in London last night, he said, "We're no longer a great power. We will never be so again. We are a top second-rank power, but over the next half century, however well we perform, our small size and population makes it likely we will be passed by the growth of other, far larger countries." The former Tory leader claimed that the result of the Brexit trade talks will be a flimsy, bare-bones deal or no deal at all, which he described as a wretched betrayal of what our electors were led to believe. Now, is he right to talk down this country, or is he being brutally realistic? Let's speak to a man who is highly patriotic and is now at the forefront of a brand new political movement. The Brexit Party has been rebranded as Reform UK, and he is Richard Tice. He joins us now. Hello, Richard.
Hi there, how are you?
Really well.
Well, and I'm just utterly amazed. I almost felt sick reading that speech. I actually couldn't get to the end of it. It just wasn't going to do my blood pressure any good at all. I mean, the grey, glum, gloomy, dare I say it, possibly the ugliest Prime Minister we've had in the last 40 years. To talk down our great nation like that was just utterly extraordinary.
Well, Edwina Curry would have something to say about his relative attractiveness, Richard, of course, and she's a woman of excellent taste, but that was a few years ago.
Look, it takes all sorts, but I mean, seriously, for a Prime Minister to talk down any nation, but, we should all be patriotic, but what he did was quite extraordinary. And the other extraordinary thing is, on Twitter, you see the sore losers, the arch remoaners, how they took glee in someone of his standing, a former Prime Minister, talking down our nation. I mean, are these people not patriots? If they don't want to live here, maybe they want to go and live somewhere else. I don't know, but
well, are these comments, Richard? Are these comments a proxy for the Brexit debate that we thought we'd put behind us?
Sorry, just say that question again, Mark.
Are these comments a proxy for the Brexit debate that we thought we'd put behind us?
Look, I mean, John Major's one of those arch remoaners. He's never got over it. He only believes in democracy when it goes his way. He looks a desperate, grey, sore loser with this. What he should be doing is actually saying, okay, I was on the wrong side of the argument, but actually, we've got to be ambitious, we've got to be bold, and we've got to learn to be a really patriotic consumer. We've got to learn to, more than ever, after this COVID crisis, as we work out how we're going to recover from it, actually, we probably need to take a lesson from the French. They're a wonderfully patriotic consumer. And we've got to think British, we've got to make British, and we've got to buy British. And actually, the opportunity's never been greater. We've learned from this COVID crisis, haven't we? That the much vaunted global supply chain, well, it's all very well, but it seemed to break at the first sign of trouble. And, there are many businesses that may have imported components. Actually, what they should be doing now is say, well, in order to reduce the risk of global supply chains breaking in the future, let's think British and make British. Let's make the components here, and that's how actually we'll grow faster out of this economic hole that many nations find themselves in.
However, I wonder whether we're being a little harsh on Sir John Major, and perhaps there's a danger that patriotism can smoke out what is ultimately a bit of realism, Richard. The world is changing. We don't have a manufacturing base like we used to. We don't have the diplomatic soft power, and we don't have the military presence. And maybe part of becoming sort of great again is to actually accept a smaller role.
No, sorry, Mark. I don't buy it at all. Don't buy it at all. Actually, we've got one of the finest trained militaries in the world. We do manufacture some incredible goods. Look at the growth of some of the businesses recently, over recent years, particularly in the world of tech. Look at some of our great engineers like Dyson and co. And okay, car manufacturing is having a bit of a difficult time at the moment. But JLR under the ownership of Tata, they did amazing growth here in the UK in recent years. You've always got to be ambitious. One of the things I'm really keen on, in terms of looking forward to much more renewable energy, we need to actually have our own manufacturers of wind turbines. We need to have our own commercial scale manufacturers of solar panels. At the moment, we don't have either of those two industries here in the UK.
Indeed, we've spoken to
that's
John.
What we've got to go for. That's the opportunity that actually, for example, state aid, investing in these high-tech industries, the government can take a lead in this.
Well, indeed so. And we will have that freedom. Of course, we are post-Brexit, but going into January the 1st, 2021, whether there's a deal or not, we will be free to decide the future of this country. Now, my fantastic producer, Charlotte, has put together a hit list of examples of our amazing industries, Richard. Financial services. Britain remains the world's largest exporter of financial services, and the industry contributes to more than 10% of total UK government tax take. We're huge in medical research. We are, we're up there with Pfizer for the pursuit of this coveted COVID-19 vaccine, aerospace technology, the advertising industry, the creative industry, AI, gaming, TV, film, and renewables. We are getting it done. It's just that Britain is not necessarily worse or becoming weaker. It's just changing.
Look, but the point is, that's an amazing list of areas, sectors where we've got great talent, hardworking people, and that's the bedrock. That's why we should actually be ambitious. And of course, every country post-COVID is going to have its challenges, but we've got a fantastic foundation. We've got the freedom post-Brexit to be able to make the right decisions ourselves for our great nation, and we've got to go for it. We've got to put the foot flat on the accelerator. We've got to roll our sleeves up. We've got to work 24/7, and we can do it. But the first thing you have to do in order to be successful, you have to believe in yourself, and you have to have leaders and former leaders who spread that motivational message of belief, of encouragement, of enthusiasm, of energy. And that's why it's so disgraceful what John Major said. Frankly, people should just ignore him, put him in the bin of history, and let's have some optimism, let's have some ambition. We've got to go for it. And that's why you guys on Talk Radio, you come up with these enthusiastic messages and commentary, and that's what we need. We really have got to go for it.
Yes, indeed. I think it's one thing to have voted to remain in the European Union in that plebiscite in 2016. I myself voted to remain, but the moment we got the result to leave, I got on board with that project because the public decided. And since then, I've been the biggest Brexiteer because I accept the result. It's okay to have voted to remain, but it's not okay to talk down global Britain because it is a collective national enterprise now. It doesn't need to be decisive. We've left the European Union.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just utter madness. For example, there's huge opportunities. We could enter into a really good trade partnership, what's called CANZUK, with Canada, with Australia, with New Zealand. That'd be a really powerful team of Commonwealth countries, English-speaking countries, with a real like-minded approach, very strong on trade, very strong on security, very strong on military. That could be a really powerful force going forwards. Those are the sort of positives that we need to be striving for, negotiating for, aiming for. We've got to look high, aim high. You don't get to the top of a mountain by looking at the bottom. You get to the top by lifting your eyes, looking up and saying, right, that's not going to be easy, but let's go for it.
And we didn't become the fifth biggest economy in the world without that positive, entrepreneurial, socially dynamic outlook, Richard. With the clock against us, do you think, however, that Sir John may have one point, that we have weakened ourselves somewhat in the last few months with the COVID measures?
Well, look, I've been a big critic of this government's approach to COVID. In many ways, they've had a very bad COVID crisis. But, you've still got to look forward. And, at the moment, the Reform UK, our approach is that we shouldn't be in a national lockdown. We should be adopting the Great Barrington approach to dealing with this. Yes, it's good news that a vaccine may be available soon, but, there are challenges, as the Prime Minister highlighted yesterday, and we've got to put the foot flat on the accelerator. We've got to learn to live with this thing, and we're going to have to live with it for decades. So we need a better approach to dealing with the virus. Who knows how long it'll take to roll out a vaccine? but there's not a minute to be lost. Focus protection on the elderly and the vulnerable. But apart from that, actually, we've got to get on with our lives. We've got to put the foot flat on the accelerator to start recovering the millions of jobs that are being lost, the tens of thousands of businesses that have been destroyed, city centres that have been literally sort of ravaged and emptied out, and to get some encouragement and belief. Whole sectors, travel, tourism, aviation, completely hollowed out. This is going to take some creative hard work, and we need to get on with it.
And I will say amen to that. Richard, it's been brilliant to have you on the show. Former MEP, chair of what was the Brexit Party. It has now reincarnated as Reform UK, which takes a particularly lockdown sceptic view of the government's COVID measures. Richard Tice there, thank you very much for your time.